haven't seen part 1 of this video, I will drop a link below. So I unexpectedly have the afternoon free, so I thought I would film that little introduction of that video that you should have seen. And I've got my coffee and I've got a pile of books here, and I'm going to read a chapter of some of these books, and serious reading glasses going on. Let's see what we think. Gonna start with this one. Okay, I've read the first chapter and I can't really get a sense of what it's like. It's literally 2 pages long. 2 pages long? 2.5 pages. I can't get a sense of what it's like, so I'm going to go on and read the next chapter. Okay, chapter 2 is only 2 pages long as well. I'm not gripped so far. I feel like it's a translated book, so it's translated from the French by Garda Murad. And I sometimes find this with translated books, is that it sounds, well, it reads a little stilted. You do get that sometimes. And you do wonder if, was it just written like that, or is it the translation? I'm not really sure. But I'm not gripped so far, so I'm 8 pages in, so I'm going to continue. Okay, so I'm up to chapter 4, because again, chapter 3 was only 2 pages long. And at the start of chapter 4, it mentions Josephine Baker, who I've also got a book here about to read. So maybe I'll read the Josephine Baker one next. I'm going to put that at the top of the pile. I'm inspired. Okay, let's continue. 11 pages. Still not gripped, but I'm still not putting it down. I still can't decide. I wonder how long you actually need before you give a book a definite no. There are some things I think that instantly turn me off, that instantly make me put a book down. If a character describes the way that they look whilst looking in a mirror, no, absolutely not. Or if they just excessively describe the way that they look, I don't like it. And another thing is if they use the word unbidden, straight in the bin, absolutely hate it. Okay, let's continue reading. Oh, we've got a different character. Sorry, I just had to restart chapter 4 because... Why have we got a different character? I'm not even into the first character. Why? Okay. Why? Okay, so I don't think I'm going to read this book. Okay, let me swap back to my real glasses so I can actually see properly. I'm just not sure about this book. It's not gripping me. There are 2 different characters, it seems, and it does say that in the blurb actually. So there is Youssef and Josephine, and I don't love a book that flips backwards and forwards between 2 different characters when it is this short. So every chapter is maybe 2, maybe 3 pages long, and the font is quite big and the margins are quite wide. So those are very, very short chapters. So it's very staccato. It's very pared back, which normally I like, but flipping between different characters, I feel like I can't really get into it enough. So as usual, when I do try a chapter, we're not just going to go yes or no, we're going to go maybe. So this is going on the maybe pile for now. And because Josephine Baker was mentioned there, we're going to read a little bit of this Josephine Baker memoir. So let's get on with that. I'm basically like Clark Kent. Let's just change my glasses. You can't recognise me, can you? Okay, let's have a little read of this. Okay, we're 2 pages in and I'm not going to read this. So let's swap to my other glasses. Ah! I just dropped my glasses in my coffee. Oh no. No, I can't see anything. Help. There's no one here to help me. Oh no. I'm not going to read this, by the way. I'll be back once I've dealt with my glasses. Okay, I'm back and I have hopefully clean glasses and not covered in coffee. I'm sat on the floor because my back is really hurting, so it hurts to sit on the sofa, but it is making my bum numb. So that's probably why I won't be filming this one in one go, and I'll be reading maybe on an armchair in a second. I am not going to read this book. This is Josephine Baker's memoir. I think it is the style that it's written in. I knew that would be an issue for me. It's compiled from interviews that she did, and unfortunately, like the first, I've read 2 pages, and pretty instantly I can see it is just kind of like a transcript of someone speaking. And the problem with that is that people aren't always really coherent when they're speaking, and it needs a bit of editing. And I think it could have done with a bit of editing, which is a little disappointing actually. It does have, by the looks of it, some kind of letters interspersed with it. but I feel like, yeah, I'm just like glancing through and having a look at some of the other, I so desperately want to read about Josephine Baker. I think maybe perhaps this particular book and the way that it's written is not for me. So that is one more book off my TBR. That is going to be donated to a charity shop. Let's have a look at the next one. So I've just read a non-fiction. Let's go for a fiction. Let's go for The Catchers by Zan Brooks. This is set in spring, 1927. I don't know anything else about it. Let's have a read and see what we think. I'm going to very carefully switch to my reading glasses whilst keeping them away from my coffee. Sometimes I really like launching into a book where I don't really know anything about it at all. It's one of the reasons I love Persephone books, is that you just kind of get right into it. But sometimes that doesn't work because I feel like you need a little bit of context. So at the start of this book, 2 pages in, there is a lot of characters and there's a lot of dialogue, and I'm not really getting a sense of what is happening. So I've had to read the description on the back to get a little bit more of a sense of what on earth is going on, to try and contextualize it for me, because so far I'm a little confused. Okay, I'm 3 pages in, and this is not a definite no, but I'm still not sure. So this is going on to the maybe pile. We've had no definite yeses yet. Let's switch back to a non-fiction and let's go for this now done book, Talking to Women, and see what we think. Okay, first couple of pages. I quite like it, actually. I was expecting the format to be slightly distracting, but I quite like it. I think it doesn't help that I don't know who she's talking to. So of the people, I only recognise one of the women's names, so Pauline Boty, or Boty, B-O-T-Y. I actually think what I'm going to do is look up who these people are, because I think that might help have a little bit of context. So I'm not going to do that now, but that's going to go straight onto the maybe pile. Let's go for a fiction. I'm going to run out being able to alternate. I didn't have an even number of fiction and non-fiction, but let's go for The Ebony Tower by John Fowles and see what we... This book smells so bad. I mean, okay. Oh, I remember now. I remember when I got this in the book advent a couple of years ago. I think it's a short story or a novella, and it's got a couple of other stories in there. So actually The Ebony Tower is just the first one. Okay. I don't know whether that makes me want to read it more or less, because I don't particularly love short stories, but I'm just flicking through to actually see. In fact, it's got a contents page, Jen. You can actually just look. 110 pages long is the first story. Okay. That actually, I think, makes me want to read it less. I'm going to read, though, and see what I think. Absolutely not. Okay, I read half a paragraph. No. Okay, let's have a look at it. It's immediately going in the no pile. You know, I'm trying to kind of explain to myself and you what it is I don't like about a book. Okay, it's just incredibly overwritten, I think. He looked at once to the quiet landscapes, orcharded and harvested, precise and pollarded, self-concentrated, exhaling a spent fertility. Twice he stopped and noted down particularly pleasing conjunctions of tone and depth, parallel stripes of watercolour with penciled notes of amplification in his neat... there's too many words. I'm a Thomas Hardy fan, but no. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to try, the last non-fiction I think on this pile, is Margaret Drabble's The Pattern in the Carpet. Okay, Maggie, let's see what you've got for us. Well, this was £2.99. Do I want to read the foreword? I mean, it's by her. No, acknowledgements. Chapter 1. Okay, I am, just to prove that I can make decisive decisions either way, I am a paragraph in, and that is going on the yes part. Hang on, I'm going to put that one on the no part, and that's a yes. Yes, I'm going to read this. That's the first yes. I love Margaret Drabble's writing. Just for that first paragraph alone, it was very evocative. It was very... Shall I read you a bit? Shall I read you what instantly kind of grabbed me about it? Okay. As she went to bed that night, she said that she wished we had been able to finish the jigsaw. It's a pity, she said, as she gave up. It's a pity. It was the last evening of the last summer. We had tried to finish it. We sat up late, past midnight, struggling with patches of tree and fern and grass and sky. In the morning, we would have to drive away and leave it incomplete on its table for others to finish another day. It was unsatisfactory. She knew she would never come back. She knew it was her last summer with us. It was Thursday, the 7th of August, 1997, and she was 88. She was getting older and I was getting older, and the journey back to her home was across country and very long. Next year, even if she was still alive, it would be too much for both of us. Neither of us mentioned this. There were many things we never mentioned, but she knew, and she knew I knew. That just instantly drew me in. Who knows what the rest of it is like? I'll find out in probably part 3 of this video. Sorry about that. Let's have a look at this one, the next one at the top of the pile, The Woman in the Library, and we'll see what I think of this. Oh, no, okay, I'm not going to read this. This is really boring. I read 2 pages. Am I being too harsh? It was boring. Okay, let's give the intimidating, but no, you know what? I'm going to start with Garth Greenwell. I'm going to leave the intimidating 2 for last. Intimidating in different ways, but anyway. Colm Bean says that this is a marvellous book. Exceptionally vivid, real and true. Are you lying to me, Colm? So this is an author that I, as I said in part 1 of this, I liked his first book, which I've forgotten the name of, so obviously What Belongs to You. I still have a copy of it, I think, on my shelf, so I obviously didn't dislike it. I obviously liked it, but it hasn't really stuck with me, and I DNF'd his second book, Cleanness. So it's sort of, it's not really an author that I dislike and I'm giving another chance to, like some of the books on my shelf are, I think. But I think it's more just, I'm not wholly enamoured with his writing so far, so well, you know what, first I'm going to read the blurb because I have no idea what this book is about. Okay, so I've read the description. I'm not the wiser. I think you'd love a description that doesn't actually tell you anything about a book. So the character is in ICU, which it says in the description, and just kind of glancing through, it seems like the entire thing, yeah, is set in the ICU, and it is just a description of his kind of trauma and pain. And I think I am not interested in that. Yeah, I don't think this is for me. I don't think this particular storyline, like the first page when he's trying to describe his pain and being unable to, like, that's very relatable. Like when you're trying to describe, when someone, you know, a doctor says, what's your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the most pain you've ever been in, and you say 12 and they just laugh at you. So I kind of empathise with that bit, and maybe this is a little bit too realistic, and maybe not realistic, too real for me. Maybe this is just not for me, I think. No, I think actually that's going to go on the no pile. So we've got 4 no's so far out of 10. Is this success, or I don't know what I wanted? Is this good? Okay, let's go in. The Book of Form and Emptiness. I'm not so much intimidated by this as, I guess it's one of those books that I'm concerned that because everyone seems to love it, what if I don't love it? Or if I'm wrong? Probably wrong about all of these. Okay, let's just read a little bit and see if it grabs me and see what I think. Okay, so a few pages in, and it's not an instant no. I'm not instantly grabbed. I wonder if it takes a little while to get into it. Did this win the Women's Prize? I knew it was longlisted. I mean, it literally says Women's Prize winner. But I don't know if that just means she was, or that I'm assuming it means the book was. I actually can't remember. Oh, it says it's a masterpiece. It's not instantly grabbing me, so I'm going to put it on the maybe pile, because it's definitely not a no. There's nothing that kind of instantly makes me think no. Okay, I've left the hefty tome of the love songs until last. So let's have, oh, it's got a family tree. I'm so intimidated. It's got a family tree. Okay, oh, I've still got the receipt in here. £4.99. I bought it in an Oxfam and was served by David. Thank you, David. Thursday the 2nd of May 2024. That's how long I've had this book on my shelf. Oh, this is a very long family. This family tree goes on for 3 pages. This little epigraph. It's got a contents page. It's got a contents page that's 3 pages long. Oh my god. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm going to stop a page in, just over onto the 2nd page, to say I am instantly gripped. Like, there's something about this writing style that instantly grips me, instantly draws me in. I am going to put it on the maybe pile, because I think what I want to do with these books is to properly read like a full chapter. So that was just like a little taster right at the beginning. Okay, so we have 4 books that are instantly going to a charity shop, and that is these 4. I just don't think they're for me. I'm sure they're great books for somebody, and they will be rehomed lovingly, I hope. There is one that's going straight back on my shelves to read at some point later, and that is the Margaret Drabble book, The Pattern on the Carpet. You know, I really thought that this one, let's reflect on this, I thought that this one would end up on my no pile. I honestly thought that of the no's, I thought the John Fowles book, I actually thought that this would end up on my yes pile, but I'd forgotten it was a collection of short stories, and I think that has completely tainted my view of it. But I need to change my actual glasses because these ones don't have an anti-reflective thing, so I'm sure all you can see is bright lights on my face. Yeah, so I thought that this would end up on my yes, and it hasn't. I did think that these would end up on a no pile, and they have. And of the ones that I have left, if I can kind of predict, I think these 2, these intimidating ones, I think they're going to end up on a yes pile, and I think that these 3 will end up no. That's just my sense of them at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit more from these before I decide what I'm going to do. So this will either become a 3-part video series, or I will instantly follow with some more opinions. I guess you'll find out briefly in a few seconds. I have just sat here for the whole afternoon and just read through some of the rest of these books. I only have the 2 intimidating ones left, but I have decided on these 3 books, and I have decided no for various different reasons. So I've actually read about half of this book, and I think it's actually just the style. I think with actually most of these, no, in fact all of these 3, I think style is actually the major problem. So I think the style that this is written in is just not to my taste, I think, but also I think that this book wears its politics and social commentary and religion quite heavily. It's quite heavy-handed, and what I mean by that is that it's not really effortlessly put into the story. It's very heavy-handed. It's very like, we're going to pause the narrative to tell you something about politics or about culture or about history or religion, and it's such a short book. The fact that it does that quite often is very jarring, and it kept taking me out of the story. And it's so short that I thought, hey, let's just sit here and read it, why not? And I'll tell you what I think. But I just couldn't. I got about halfway through and I just thought, no, it's just not for me, so I'm not going to finish that. I'm also quite surprised actually at The Catchers by Zan Brooks, because I thought I would really like this. I thought that this would probably, I think, end up on my yes pile, or maybe try a bit more, but I got about 20 pages in, and again I think it was just the style. It was just quite meandering and quite unfocused, I thought, and I think that's just a style that's just not for me. It's just a personal preference, and I'm sure lots of other people will like it, but it just didn't work for me, and I have so many other books to read, so I'm going to let this one go to a charity shop. I am annoyed at myself that I paid full price for this when I probably could have learnt that by just getting it from the library and reading a few chapters. I always, when I borrow books from the library, if I love them and they're 5 stars, I always go out and buy them. So I still feel like I'm supporting bookshops and authors more than you do with the library, although, you know, authors still get money if you borrow books from a UK public library. But I think with this, I'm just kind of annoyed at myself. This is the reason why I need to stop just buying books based on cover or based on vibe or based on the fact that they're on a long list, because I could have easily found out that it wasn't to my taste, the writing style, and I could have bought something else that was. So this has been quite useful. The final one that I'm saying no to is Nell Dunn's Talking to Women. This is actually really good. It's just, again, not really for me. I think this is quite interesting. So not every woman in here that she talks to is famous. Some people, it's like the second person in here is a lady called Kathy, who, it says, works in a butter factory, but she met Nell Dunn whilst they were working in a factory together. And I think what this is that Nell Dunn is at this moment in her life. So it was written in 1964, and she's at this moment where she's really kind of just wanting a bit of guidance and wanting to talk to other women and say, what is it like for you? And it's about relationships, about sex, it's about marriage, it's about children, it's about jobs. And she just wants to talk to them about their experiences. The first one that I found, so Pauline Botti, I still don't know how you pronounce it, I looked up a little bit about her, and she was an artist. I was not familiar with her works at all, but she died 4 years after this book was published. And in her section, she's talking about not focusing on the future and what might happen to her in the future, and just focusing on the now, and living for the moment, which and she didn't know at that point that she was that she didn't have very long left to live. So it's quite poignant to read, actually, and it was really interesting. But again, I think it's just the style that it's written in didn't really work for me. I think because it is pretty much transcripts of conversations, there's lots of saying like, you know, and things like that, and it just makes it kind of difficult. It makes the narrative kind of difficult to follow and difficult to it doesn't flow very well. But again, that's an entirely personal thing. Lots of people might like it. I also really liked the kind of just completely different way of looking at the world that women had in the 1960s. Like Pauline in this first one is talking about how things are easier for women than they are for men, because men have a lot of pressure on them to, you know, get a job and have a career, whereas women just, you know, have more time and freedom to you know, decide what they want to do and don't have that kind of pressure. And I just thought that was a really interesting perspective. Just completely different to life now. So I think if you're interested in this kind of thing, I know I can think of some people who might be interested in this, but if you're interested in looking at women's lives in the 1960s, if you're interested in getting kind of first-hand accounts of that, there's a blurb on the back from Maggie Drabble. There's a lot of overlap between these books. I just, yeah, personally for me, it just wasn't for me. So I am, oh my goodness, there are 3 more no's. So far we've only had 1 yes, and I've got 2 more to go. So this has not been great odds, but I think this has really worked well, because these were the books that I, for one reason or another, thought just weren't really going to be for me. And that maybe my kind of desire to read them had gone. And I've only got the 2 intimidating ones left, so I am going to attempt to read those at some point. I think at the moment, The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois, I think, is probably the one that I'm thinking yes, and The Book of Form and Emptiness, I'm actually thinking might be a no, but that's just my current feeling, having only read a couple of pages of each of them. So I'm going to delve in a little bit further and see what I think.